Here on the PocketBot channel, we also want to showcase some bots that tie in well with your Legend class collection, but who in their own right are not considered Legend scale figures. They're simply bigger, not that easy to fit in your pocket, hence the category.
Can I bag that for you?
And so we will have a look at Hasbro's Power of the Primes Optimus. And normally I like to start off in alt mode, but this is what you came to see. You want to know how this guy fits in a Legend scale collection, because this guy is big. Well, let's start off with that. I'll tell you why this guy fits in my collection, and he might in yours. But we'll go through all his other modes as well. Now, first and foremost, why does this guy sit in my Legend class collection? Because of this. This is how I remember Optimus from the Beast Wars cartoon. Dude was massive. He, in my book, needs to tower over all the other bots. So, even though there's various Optimuses out there, also in Legend class collection, like the Iron Factory one that Maurizio already reviewed on the channel, even though I like that figure, he doesn't fit for me. That's why I went for a bigger guy. And again, out of my normal sequence, but we're going to start off with the size comparisons. Here is our boy Runabouts. But this guy, of course, doesn't sit with with all of my figures. He mainly sits with Transform Elements Black Arachnia, and also Transform Elements. Let me see where I can put him. Let me put him here. Scorponok and Black Arachnia. And I'll pan out a little bit. That's why this guy works for me. This is how I like to see Optimus. Big chunky ape bot. And besides him fitting in my collection now, he's also a very fun bot to mess around with. But we'll get into that in a minute. Let's quickly have a look what this big ape comes with. He comes with a nice little card. Come on there, focus. Very cool artwork on there. Optimus. Mine has Optimal Alchemist on the back. Because of course he's from the Power of the Primes line, so you can integrate the Prime Masters with this figure. But there we go. Just a cardboard card. Obviously a set of instructions. Pretty easy to follow. And now I'm going to have to shift some things. Here is his box, which features that same art that was on the card. Optimus. There's Optimus Primal on the side. Some of the Prime symbols. And here is the back. And yes, there is a Primal included in this figure. Which I didn't even know when I got this. I got him for my birthday. And I thought it was just optimal, so to say. So having him in there was an added bonus. But we'll get to that later. Let's get this out of the way. And we'll get him in one of his other forms and start from there before we get into the transformations. Shall we? Yeah. This is, in my opinion, his weakest form, but it was in the show, so you have to include it, of course. It's what I like to refer to as the flattened flying monkey mode. It's just a ridiculous style flying ship with hands and feet visible. Some cannons on top. Nice little cockpit there. Very gappy from the bottom. So yeah, this is not my favorite mode. This is not how I display him. But it is an official mode. So yeah. I will say straight away, the one thing that, the one form that isn't included in this figure is the truck mode. As far as you can call that a truck. But yeah, there's a mode where you can put a wheel in between his hands. Or where there's a wheel that should be between his hands and some back wheels here. And then you can fold up the wings and he could go boom. That is all not present in this set. But there are some upgrade kits for this figure, which I'll display here for a second. There's 2 upgrade kits that I know of. One with better hands and forearms / shoulder pauldrons or whatever you call them. And the other one, quite interesting, has the wheels that you need for the truck mode. So, I don't have them. While researching to do this review, I came across these and I was like, ooh, even though I would never display them in truck mode, do I not need those wheels? But, who knows, maybe, next year, whatever. For now, this is what it is. Alright, so, from this mode, I can start moving arms and stuff to show you articulation, but technically this mode has no articulation except for the fact that you can put the wings in a position that you want to. I say we go and get him transformed into his next mode. Shall we? Yes, an almost equally ridiculous mode. A little bit less ridiculous, I guess. But it's still a flying monkey mode, except now it's Primal in beast form. Sorry, not Primal. Optimal in beast form on his little hoverboard. Still a bit gappy here. But there you go. We can finally have a look at his noggin, which is pretty cool. I like that beast head. He's also a very nicely detailed figure. Sculpt wise, I mean. But yeah, the ridiculous flying monkey mode. We're gonna get into his next mode before I go into articulation and stuff. Alright, here goes. this is armed up monkey mode. So yeah, this is pretty much as far as it goes for his ape modes. Since his articulation is pretty much the same as in robot mode, I'll cover the articulation once we get to robot mode, because obviously his arms stay his arms, his legs stay his legs, although they do get extended in a minute. But the one thing I haven't shown off yet is that thing that keeps shifting around, and I'll get him out of there. Obviously it's part of his alt mode. It becomes his hoverboard. It now becomes his backpack to have armed up monkey mode. But what this technically is, and we'll leave this here, I'll get to that later. Oh sorry, no, we don't need to we don't leave that there. We fold it back to where I had it here. Then we split it. Now this whole section becomes a backpack. There we go. Put that there. And you can probably guess who this is. This is, which I didn't know before I got the figure, actually Primal. And it's a pretty decent one. Come on. There we go. Flip out the Primal head. And he can either use, still use these weapons, sorry, these guns. Sorry, he's a little bit back heavy, but come on, buddy. Keep standing. Well, lay down for a minute then. Just wanted to show you these guns for a second. And I actually think, hold on. Yeah, those are just standard 5mm pegs, so these things are blast compatible. But yeah, you just get two of these. You can also, of course, tab them together to make one larger gun, which doesn't look that good. I think the guns from the upgrade kits look better, but there you go. Standard 5mm pegs, but for Primal, you can also use them as clubs. There we go. So, let's have a quick look at Primal. The added bonus figure, so to say. Here is his head sculpt, very nicely done. Of course, the Maximal symbol on there. Again, nice details, nice sculpt work on him. Obviously, he has a backpack. But just a swivel on the head. There's no ball joint in there. Swivel there. Hinge there. Ball joint at the elbow. Nothing for the wrists. The torso also, there's no ab crunch, no waist rotation. It's all one piece. Big ball joint on the hip. But there's also a cut and then a double jointed knee. So it gets you a fair amount of range, except towards the back, of course. Nothing on the feet, though they're slightly slanted. And again, nicely detailed. I guess we do a quick comparison for Primal as well. Hold on. These mushroom pegs in here are quite stiff, so that's why sometimes I have a bit of issue getting him to stand, because you need to align them. Now, if I line him up with the other two Beast Wars figures that I have, there we go. It works, but somehow I feel that as a Primal, he's a little bit too big. Primal could scale a little bit down for me, but it is what it is. I don't keep Primal separate because you need him to form Optimal Optimus in bot mode anyways. So there you go. But it's nice that he's included in this set. High play factor, so to say. Lots of playability. But there we go. Quick comparison to Runabout there before we move on. Right, I'm going to get him back into backpack mode, so to say. And then we'll get Monkey here transformed as well. So we're back to where we started, Optimal Optimus. Here we go. And there we go. Let me just adjust the camera a little bit. We are back at Optimal Optimus mode. Now, the guns, there's a couple of things you can do with it. You can store them on his shoulders again. Obviously, he can hold them in his hands. He can hold the big gun in his hands. You can use the big gun as a club. You can store them on the legs. That's where I usually keep them. And another ridiculous thing, but it was in the show. If you pop his chest down a bit, then you can give him these cannons. Because that's what he had in the show. So it's up to you, but there's various ways you can use them. I'm gonna put this back in place, because that's not what I do. I just keep them on the sides of the legs here. And there we go. Now, we'll get to articulation, but first I still need to talk about the cockpit here. This can open up. Oh, and it dropped out already. It has the matrix of leadership in there. And it's actually translucent plastic with blue paint on it. And obviously this can pop out. So you can put whatever Prime Master you want in there. And imagine that Optimus is even more powered up. But of course, this is what in the show he had to Primal had to contain the energy from the Matrix that they found in, well, Prime. And that's how he became Optimal Optimus. So that is a very cool that it's included. It just pops in there and then closes up. I don't do much with that, but yeah, that's how Primal became a Prime, I guess, by absorbing the energy from Optimus, thus becoming Optimal Optimus. Yeah. I actually had to look that up a little bit, how that happened again, because it's been ages since I've seen Beast Wars. Yeah, that was the whole reason he was made into the Power of the Primes line. He was the winner of the, was it 2017 fan vote for the character they needed to, they wanted to bring out in the line. And he was the winner. That's why we got a toy of him. Besides the old Beast Wars toy. But yeah, that's a bit of history. That's why he exists, so to say. Right. Well, the Optimal head is also just on a swivel. Though you could use the hinge that it's on, the little platform that it's on, to go up and down a bit. But there you go. Arms are on a... What is it? Well, they've got a bunch of hinges and swivels in there. Because I like to beef him out like that, but you could also slim it down like that. Whatever you want. I like him as this beefy bot. Elbow, rotation and hinge. Mushroom peg in the hands. You saw me flip the thumb around, because in monkey mode he has him on the other side. So it's pretty clever. There we go. The fingers all are one piece with a hinge, but you can at least open his hand. And the upgrade hands, I think, have individual moving fingers. Big hinge and ball joints here. Cut in there. Single hinged knee, unless you break transformation, then it's double hinged. And then hinges for the feet, but also ankle rocker. So this is a well posable figure. And I love this bulky guy. There's actually only one thing I wish they did differently with him. And that is in his face sculpt. I wish they would have given him green eyes. That's the only thing I'm missing. The green in the eyes. Other than that, for what he is and the price you can get him at, this is a great Optimal Optimus. I love this dude. So, that's about all I wanted to tell you about him. And why he's a good figure to incorporate into your Legend scale collection. Because depending on how you look at this guy, if you want him to be nice and big, like I remember him, then this is definitely the version to go for. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about him and how you feel about maybe incorporating him into your collection. And I'll see you next time. Ape out!